Hi, this is Taryn Grome, editor of Pharma Voice. We met with numerous inspirational thought leaders at this year's DIA annual conference as part of our Editors Take video series. I hope you enjoyed this discussion.
In this episode, we take some time with Zaher El-Assi, President, Merge eClinical. How is the move toward EDC consolidation and outsourcing affecting EDC providers?
The EDC market continues to be a very interesting space. We've seen lots and lots of consolidation. We've seen fewer and fewer companies in the space and larger separation. The large three being Medidata, Oracle, and eClinical OS, the merged product, are continuing to separate themselves by a large distance from the next tier below us. The market is beginning to have very, very large expectations from EDC vendors and looking for very advanced functionality to support the likes of risk-based monitoring, adaptive trials, and many other demands that they have from their systems. As those demands continue to increase, again, we'll see further and further separation. Now, one of the largest changes we're seeing is CROs are being allowed more often to make decisions on EDC. In the past, we were seeing sponsors driving that decision, but I think as they drive cost pressure, drive CROs to lower their cost, we're seeing the CROs make more and more of their decisions because they're the ones ultimately using that platform. If you're going to ask them to run their business on a different platform, you're imposing inefficiencies. So we're seeing more and more CROs begin to standardize across the industry on a single platform. With that said, CROs can't go all one platform because not all platforms can do everything. So there are metadata standardized CROs that still need endpoint adjudication. That's a feature only offered by us in the industry. Someone might be using a different IVR that may not be able to support adaptive trial designs. So again, we'll see lots of focus on a single platform, but there will always be the need for one or more platforms. And I think ultimately we'll see more and more decisions driven by people who are actually doing the work, in which case more and more so today, that is the CRO.
Could you see the three big EDC players joining forces to establish one common EDC platform?
I think it's a great question. I think at some point that will happen. I think at some point we'll see Oracle wishing to have a larger play in the space or recover their first tier position. They can afford to be in first place. How do they get to first place? They're probably not going to win their way there. It may require acquiring other platforms, maybe one of the other bigger players, or acquiring smaller technology providers that have features they don't have, capabilities they don't have. So of course, consolidation, like any other industry, will take place. It will happen. The question is when. So I think, look, there's no question we compete, but we also play nicely together. So again, there's numerous cases where we have integration with metadata hand in hand to deliver an integrated solution to deliver EDC and endpoint adjudication hand in hand. One without the other doesn't make sense. As we talk about adaptive clinical research, adaptive trials will require that our EDCs, our IVRs, our drug management systems communicate in real time. Data has to move as a patient is randomized, immediately notify the shop to dispense the right drug for the right patient. If the EDC reports an adverse event, we need to make a decision on the next dose for that particular patient. Are we adapting that dose? Are we lowering that dose for that patient in the next cycle? These decisions have to happen in real time, and these systems have to communicate in real time to make that happen.
As the industry speeds adoption of the adaptive trial design, what changes are you seeing in the services and products drug developers need and expect?
A few years ago, we decided that we had to unify our platform and make it a single platform that delivered all clinical trial functionality. I still believe that's the key part of the answer to delivering adaptive trials. Having disparate solutions that don't communicate in real time makes it virtually impossible to make decisions in real time so we can alter doses or alter plans or cycles for a specific patient based on a specific event. So I think the most important thing is either having a unified platform that can basically perform all your desired clinical trial functions to support adaptive trials, being again EDC, IWR, IVR, and drug management, or you need platforms that are very, very well integrated. And back to your earlier point, either us vendors have to play very nicely together. We have to have an open and extensible architecture or we can allow each other to integrate independently without relying on one another, or we have to have a unified platform.
How is Merge eClinical helping sponsors and CROs minimize risk while keeping trials moving as quickly as possible?
It's one of the biggest challenges that we face, the cost of drug development. Over the last 10 years, the cost of drug development has doubled. The number keeps on increasing. I think as an industry, we have to find a way to contain the cost of drug development. Otherwise, it'll limit innovation in the space. In terms of what we're doing, we're helping limit clinical trial timelines. Now, as you know, some 90% of clinical trials run over their planned schedule. Every day of delay costs the industry, call it $8 million. More than 90% of trials are delayed by more than 30 days. These are staggering numbers. Right? We start doing the math. The numbers are very, very large in terms of how much inefficiency we're introducing into this life-changing concept of a clinical trial or improving the human condition. So in terms of what we're doing, we're looking at the very, very start of a clinical trial. We're helping the industry get these clinical trials up and running as fast as possible. And when I say fast, I mean really, really fast. It's not the old 12-week timelines that often slip and become 18-week timelines. We're now talking in days. We're talking in weeks. So we have, our customers are setting trials live in 3 or 4 days if they have an existing library. If they don't and they're building from scratch, we can help them get up and running in 1 or 2 weeks. Now that's saving them 10 weeks potentially off a clinical trial timeline. Multiply that by $8 million a day. That's a lot of money.
What has your experience been in China, and what advice can you offer sponsors and CROs looking to expand there?
So we have had some tremendous success in China, and I'll get into why, but we're also having tremendous success in many other emerging markets. Now China in particular is very, very interesting. About a year ago, China was the 23rd largest clinical trial market, defined by number of sites. Only 12 months later, it's the 10th largest market. No other market, no other geography has seen that kind of staggering growth in a 12-month period. Some have moved from 10th place to 9th place, some have moved from 13th place, 15th place, but no one has seen a shift that drastic. And that's, again, by number of sites. So we're seeing lots and lots of big increase in the amount of clinical trial activity in that industry. So we'd be silly to ignore that. So we have people on the ground now in China, and we've partnered with Quintiles. We are today the EDC of choice for Quintiles in that territory. It takes lots of planning, it takes the right technology, it takes the right price point, because the reality is when you're operating in China, you're competing against other local providers. Now, if you're going to try and compete only on price, you will fail. There's no way you can succeed. It's a combination of competing on price, but more importantly, also competing on quality. So we have a multilingual platform that we can sell at the right price point. And most importantly, the entire world is becoming more and more aware that quality is the most important thing that we have to do. And we've heard the FDA this year and reiterate that they're shifting their focus from process to quality. Innovate on process, do things the way you want to do things, as long as you keep your focus on patient safety and quality.
What is driving innovation in the industry?
I believe innovation are the industry's ability to change behavior. Companies that change behavior ultimately win. I think the companies that will survive or succeed by innovating in this industry will be the ones that focus on patients, focus on sites, focus on sponsors and CRO, and ask themselves the question of how will we change behavior? How will we change the way they run clinical trials? How will we make them more efficient? How can we make them focus more on quality and focus more on the most important thing here, the patient and the human condition? I think those are the companies that will shape our industry, and those are the companies that will eventually succeed and build tremendous value.
For more information on this topic, visit our Thought Leaders website.
For more Editors Take videos from the 2015 DIA Annual Conference, visit www.pharmavoice.com. Thanks for joining us.